share it on Facebook.
All right. And just because I like to do this shit, I'm gonna. All right, everybody, welcome to 1 month later's very first TV show review. We're supposed to just do comics, but the more things happen, let's just go ahead and make it TV shows, movies, comics, all of that. Today, we're going to be discussing the first 2 episodes of WandaVision, where we're going to talk about the positives, the negatives, and if we have time at the end, a couple of us have some possible theories that they feel like it's going to happen at the end of this series. So, but before we get into that, let me just remind you to follow us on Twitch. Thank you for watching here, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It should be up pretty soon. Also, we have a Discord, so make sure to join that as well. That we're all going to be in there discussing everything, giving announcements to everything that we're going to do. So make sure to follow us on or go on to Discord and just join us there. But let me introduce you to the rest of the club here. To my left, we have Nuno.
How's it going, guys? I'm Nuno. You guys can check me out on Instagram. I talk comics. I do a bunch of comic reviews, a bunch of dope stuff. My basically interpretation of the comics. Besides that, if you're ever interested in some toys or comic books and stuff like that, you can check out my shop on Instagram at IG Toy Store. And we got a bunch of toys, and we always willing to work it out with you. So just give us a call, man. We're here. Thank you, guys.
Nice. Carlos.
Hey everybody, I'm Carlos from Omnipotent City Comics, and let's talk heroes and villains.
Then below me here we got Matt.
All right, guys, Matt talking pop culture on Instagram, Twitch, and hopefully YouTube soon. Just review comics every week or every day, pretty much. So, yeah.
It's funny that he's below me because he's actually down under right now as well.
From Australia too, if you can't think of my accent, mate.
And then last but not least, we got Nick.
Hey guys, I'm Nick. You can follow me on Instagram YouTube and Twitch at Vinyl Casket, and also on Instagram at Vinyl Casket Comics. Uh, Play video games, discuss comics, and we do the 1 month later. 1 month later.
Nice. All right, so we're gonna get started. So just sit back, relax, throw your capes on, and enjoy the show. Got some positives and negatives, but we're gonna talk about the negatives first. First thing is we didn't like that it was black and white. Well, I say we, but I actually kind of liked it because it kind of. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Pleasantville. I got those
Yeah.
vibes from Pleasantville,
yeah.
and I like the whole like the colors coming back because that makes it seem like there's actually something going on. So, but we didn't like black and white. Why didn't we like that?
I would rephrase it. We do like black and white. We just didn't like WandaVision black and white.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I was saying to you guys earlier, I didn't appreciate that it lasted 2 episodes. I wanted it to be half an episode, 1 episode maybe, but I just didn't appreciate 2 episodes of black and white.
The only thing, go sorry, Nuno. No, go Nuno.
Go ahead. We were gonna.
No, I think I was gonna say that the only thing that was good about the black and white though, like it was a negative, but it kind of is a positive because the helicopter. Do you remember the helicopter when the helicopter came into the plants? Like it was good to actually see that color for the first time. So I don't know, but I didn't like it black and white. Not one. I just
And
I
honestly,
see what they're going for, but
that you mentioned the helicopter, that actually adds into a little bit of a positive that we have, which is the unease of episode 1 and 2, which is the fact that we saw a red helicopter. Where does this red helicopter come from? What was that? A beekeeper that she saw?
Oh
Like
my
she saw
God! At the end, that was
uneasy,
Yeah.
which is a positive for us. The fact that there was a little bit of a twist there. It's creepy. Like at the end of episode 1, where that guy's choking and nobody's helping. Like they're not even jumping in there. And I forgot her name, Kitty from that '70s show, like Nick was saying. Like stop it.
just
But like
it was like
doing
a glitch. Like something glitched out. That's when you like I knew something was up.
And it was just uneasy.
Um,
and then he gets up like nothing. He's like, I gotta go.
I'm gonna say something about the black and white. I appreciate black and white. Like I studied film in college and stuff, and I've watched a lot of black and white. And the issue I had with what they did in the show is that tonally there wasn't a lot of contrast. Like usually, like when you do a black and white something, there's like a lot of contrast, lots of dark shadows and stuff, and you're able like it makes looking at it, it makes it very like attractive to look at because you can tell the difference in colors about on things based on like the different tones and the shades. Everything was kind of like, and I'm assuming this is because it was a set and was made all of like the same stuff and the same colors. There was no contrast. My eyes were always drawn to the characters, the backgrounds, and like the lighting of the set. Just it wasn't appealing. Even outside was kind of boring. Like there was nothing like attractive visually about it that normally when you watch like an old black and white movie or a black and white like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, like you'll see all the contrast and like everything is so like gritty and like real. And
It's funny. So you mentioned that because I was noticing like whenever they're doing the whole sitcom thing, it was all like nice and cheesy and stuff. But when we get to the end of the episode, like when the guy was choking, or in episode 2 when the girl cuts herself or something, the cinematography got better. It got clearer. It got more concise. Like you can tell that it just changed completely, and it no longer looked like an old sitcom show. It was an MCU movie type of deal. You know what I mean? I don't know. Did you guys notice that?
yeah.
I think at moments, right? They transitioned it a little bit, but man, like Nick said, I don't think they captured the black and white like aspect of it. I don't know if they were censored by Disney for certain kinds of scenes because they were maybe too dark or something, but I don't know. And I was gonna say, Vision is like has a little remote, right? He's controlling the audience. So like at one episode, he just like presses the laugh button and stuff. So like it's a sitcom, right? He has the remote in his hand, like when he's hugging Wanda and he's pressing it.
Yeah, see, so for me, the black and white is, and the way that it's done is actually a positive for me. And the reason why is touching back on the uneasiness and the creepy feeling is that it's supposed to almost seem fake, and the idea is that this is a fake world, right? So when we see these little hints of color, and it seems like the cinematography, gets better, it's almost like it's it's a crack in the reality that has been constructed, because I think that we can all agree that this is in some shape or form not real, right?
Yeah.
And
Adding to what you just said, go ahead. I'm gonna add something to it. I like that. I
yeah,
like
for sure. And the the thing is, the the cheesiness of it, um I enjoyed that. It's almost like they're trying to portray an imitation, right, of the good times, because I think that everyone can agree that shows like I Love Lucy and all the shows 50s, 60s, 70s vibe, it's always viewed as a, a good time, right? The good times, the ideal times. And I think that there's something going on with Wanda that has driven her to create this kind of reality, almost to shield herself from whatever it is that she's dealing with, you know? So the fact that the sets almost seem plain, the fact that again the black and white isn't done the best, the fact that they're trying to imitate this world. I think that it really is just Wanda trying her best to again shield her mind from something, and I think that that's one of the points of why it was done like this. And 2 episodes may seem like it lasted a long time, but I think that it's this slow build towards the eventual crash that's gonna happen. Um, you know, in this world that she's created. So that's why I enjoyed the black and white, just because it's so far from what reality is. So that's my take on it.
almost Carlos. I just wanted before I forget. So basically, what I'm getting from what you're saying and from what I'm thinking about is that she's changing up that reality that we're watching as we're progressing, because little points of realness are coming, like the helicopter, the beehive guy. So she's adjusting that reality, which in turn you get the better black and white. You start getting colors. So in a way, she's just like cocooning herself more in. So that's why the show, I guess, is transitioning, like how you're describing it. Like we start off real simple-ish, real like kind of grainy film,
Yeah.
and it transitions better and better. Then she starts finding color pieces, and now we start transitioning the colors. So the colors, when they do pop up, they're not sticking out. Like she changes the reality up, I guess.
Exactly.
That's what I'm
And
thinking. Like, what you
exactly. And also throughout both episodes, we see hints that both her and Vision, uh, either consciously or subconsciously, they know that this world isn't real. And there's a lot of comments that are thrown out, for that.
Yeah, like
One,
I was thinking that Vision, like continuously questioning, like, what are we doing? Like, what? So we're getting, what is my job here? My job does this specifically, but then what is the ultimate goal of my job?
Yeah,
And
I thought that
everybody's
was
just,
really interesting.
exactly. And one particular scene that I think that really drove home that idea is when Vision is he's in the kitchen and he throws on the apron, and he's having a conversation with Wanda, and he says, I know the apron is a bit much, but I'm trying my best to blend in, right? So again, it's like I I I took a double context for that. Not only is he saying that he's trying to blend in as, like basically being a synthezoid, but he's also trying to blend into this world. That for again, whatever reason has been created for them. Um,
a question.
mhm.
What in Infinity War, I believe, when Vision was in Wakanda and Shuri and Wanda were basically like doing the little operation of extracting files from him to try to upload him later. What exactly do they do there? Because I feel like them finding out what they exactly did there and how much of them they got back, if any, will tell us like what kind of vision we're dealing with. Like he might be like, like baby vision or something, because she only got like 50% of him uploaded, because that's where they uploaded something and they didn't finish.
So in that
Before you
scene,
get started, Carlos,
yeah,
that's a great question, and we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about all the possible theories of what's going on at the end of the positive and negatives. But that's definitely going into like what is the theory of what's going on, because I have a theory there as well.
Because he just said
because Vision shouldn't be alive.
I agree, man. He got it. No, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get like derailed too much,
Yeah,
but that's a perfect question to get into that. But we're almost done here with the positives and negatives. The next negative is just acting. Y'all didn't like the acting; it was cheesy.
Yeah, well, it's I guess being that it's meant to mimic a '50s sitcom, I guess that's why the cheesiness was. Because if you go back and watch those shows, you can see it's very similar. Like it was very similar to Bewitched. What was the Beaver one? I reckon. I don't know if you remember. What was that one with Beaver?
It's a beaver.
yeah.
Yeah,
To be
so we got all those shows in Australia too. Don't worry, we got.
We just finished them now. You just got them like yesterday.
We just got them yesterday, mate. But yeah, I think that's where they were acting it out. Like it was just very similar to that stuff, man.
I hope we get a married with children vision, man.
Oh my god.
You know, I think
WandaVision, yo, please, bro.
Well, that's what they might do. They might go throughout the, from the 50s to the early thousands.
What else? I mean, what are they gonna do? Friends or something like that for the '90s? I hope they go something like that.
Well, I think Carlos hit it right on the nose with that. Was just saying like that those sitcoms, those are a happy time, right? So
Yeah.
if something happened to Wanda, if something's going on with her and we're in her mind, which I have a theory that we'll talk about later. I don't think we're in Wanda's mind, but whatever. If we're in her mind, she's maybe going back in time or like going into this sitcom life where it's a happy, right? So then when we go to the 70s or whatever, it's just all supposed to be somewhat happy. And I don't know. I think.
Well, it could be like because like in her mind, it could be that's like she's trying to find happiness. Maybe back in where was she from? Slovakia or something like Sokovia. That's it. Maybe when she was young, they used to be on the TVs over there.
Dude, that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah, and she's like having those memories.
Yeah.
And that's why she sees her life as that 50s sitcom because that's what she watched growing up as a kid. That's like if the theories of her being in her mind, that's why we might get this whole 50s sitcom vibe because it's what she grew up with.
That is honestly an awesome point, man. And that's why, for me the acting before I even really started thinking about again, the unease and the creepiness of the show. Personally, I loved Olsen's acting and Paul Bettany's acting. Their chemistry to me was really spot on. And to see Olsen be able to, portray that almost, I don't know, either Girl Next Door / America's Sweetheart / 50s 60s sitcom mom, even though she's technically not a mom yet. I think she really was spot on. And seeing her be able to just portray that kind of role, it seemed like she was having a lot of fun, especially Bettany's character. Yeah, it was corny, it was goofy, but keeping in mind the setting, of again the time period that this is supposed to take place, them not acting that way would almost be way too jarring to me, at least. It would not seem it would not lend to the credibility that they're trying to portray to this world that she's created, even though it's fake, right? But you really
yo, what's up, Wanda? What you doing today? That wouldn't
exactly. So you see the effort that Olsen as an actor, but then Wanda as a character is really trying to put into this kind of role that she's playing, because at the end of the day, it's a role, right? That's not that's not Wanda. That's not who she is. That's not how she acts. But in this world that they've created, I think that the chemistry between Wanda and Vision, it was fun, man.
Ask me this, mate. Like, she debuted in Age of Ultron, wasn't it? her first appearance.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Age of Ultron.
Throw that on. Watch that. Watch this. What the hell happened to her accent, man? Marvel have decided to sweep her accent under the. But it went throughout the movies. Like she lost her accent throughout the whole freaking movies.
Right.
Well, you could really say it's because her whole power being able to alter reality maybe allowed her to alter her voice as she became more.
Alter the accent.
Also,
Well, you gotta
just
think
on-
what we know about her in the comics and the crazy shit she's done, especially recently, where like she brought back all the people she killed, and they all came back
Yeah.
as zombies. Like she can do some crazy. So being able to just kind of like wipe away your accent it seems like completely plausible for her abilities.
It's
Also,
funny to mention it, but she can do it.
also, I think I mean, a lot of fans have touched on that. I think in in a simplistic way. Also, I mean, think of the actions and the role that she took. In Age of Ultron, right? I mean, you could deem her a villain to a certain point, right? So I think that it's also her way of trying to blend in as best as possible. I guess being in America now. Um, it's never been explicitly stated, but overall though, I think that even in this show, the accent that she has, or the style of speaking, again, it's that 50s, 60s type of accent, and I think that she nailed it, man. To me, at least, I enjoyed it. I loved it.
So going back to the acting cheesy, because one of our positives was that we do like the references of the sitcoms like Bewitched, and Dream of Genie, all that era. Why did we
mention the little like I mentioned before, the little like clips of the Shield agent, the little clips of like that reality, like those little like reality bits, like just in case.
Yeah, so that's another positive was the Easter eggs. Like we saw the Hydra inside the watch in that watch commercial that they had.
Yeah.
The
I
toaster.
all right. So
Iron
I'm gonna
Man
say a couple
toaster.
positives. Because I just forgot about it. Those commercials in between the episodes, like in the middle, those were cool, like additional things that they added. And like Manny brought up, how we agreed the reference, the main reference of the what they did with the theme of these first two episodes was clearly Bewitched, because they copy for so you don't get an intro with the first episode, but with the second episode, the intro is literally the Bewitched intro where she's flying on the broom.
It was awesome.
It's
when they're little cartoons.
yeah, like the cartoon intro is literally the Bewitched intro. Like 100%, that is the same intro. They just swapped.
They had to get it right. Yeah.
So like I thought that was really cool because they didn't just like say, okay, we're gonna go with this theme. They went all the way with the theme. Like, and as much as I wish it would have ended earlier, and like it was kind of weird, and like I'm just like, what are they doing? They really went all out with the theme they picked. They picked. Like,
yeah, I like the fact that they had separate bits.
Yes.
They all went through all that. Like that was funny.
And I also liked how she used her powers like the woman did in Bewitched.
Mhm.
How like there the sound effects when she did things, there was like that weird like twinkly sound effect, which is
Yeah.
they literally went like all the way with that reference. Like that reference was like from beginning to end was so powerful and so well done. But there's also an aspect of that that's a dislike for me, because like there was things where like she had to cook dinner and she had all the plates flying around. I'm like, oh, she's just gonna use her power to create dinner like that. She was actually cooking and having issues, and I'm like, okay, that kind of goes with the plot, but at the same time, like she could have. I thought she was just gonna have everything cook itself.
Yeah. I definitely agree there. Like I hate shows or movies or anything where the plot like it's a plot move for the character to be dumb or whatever. Um or like it's like right there they even showed her cooking the chicken too hot, too extreme, it burned or whatever, and then they showed her going back to where there were just eggs. So obviously she could just cook everything immediately. She could just snap her fingers.
When they
But
threw the
because it
lobster
was
out the
more of a
window,
plot, What's up?
When they launch the lobsters at the window and it ends up on the front of the door, and when the ladies
Knocker.
leave, she's like, "Oh, nice door knocker," and she goes like that with the freaking lobster tail.
I mean, dude, it's funny. Like,
He was a definite positive. That the lady from that '70s show, because like she like went behind and she's like, "We are now leaving the house." Like that was hilarious.
Dude,
I mean,
she's
dude,
such a great actress.
Yes.
Is she I don't know, like because I've just been watching Friends. Is she that lady from Friends that's with?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was just trying to see where I've seen her from. So
She's in Friends. She's in that '70s show. She's in a bunch of stuff like cameos.
Yeah.
She's like in minor roles, major roles, and stuff. But like she's pretty much all over the place. And everything she's in, she's hilarious.
She kind
I
of
love
plays
her.
the same role in everything.
Yeah.
You know, and touching like on the specific Easter eggs in the commercials, like I thought that it was extremely interesting that the two commercials that they decided to feature was the watch, and again referencing Hydra and the watch, Strucker being a clear reference to Baron von Strucker, and then uh,
Toaster.
the toaster, the Toastmate 2000, obviously Stark and Iron Man. I thought it was very interesting that the two commercials decided to focus on those two characters, and those two characters play specifically into Wanda's history in the MCU. Strucker is the reason why she has her powers, why her and Pietro had her powers. He was the one that experimented on her, right? And then and then Stark, when she tells her story that her and Pietro, when they were children, uh, you know, the missiles and the weapons that were used to destroy her village and that killed her parents, when they were buried under a bunch of rubble, that there was a Stark bomb that basically didn't go off, and they had to be there for, what was it, a couple days or something,
Yeah.
staring at that Stark bomb. So I think that those two, playing into her past, um and her trying to escape those, call it call, call it nightmares. It's like a nightmare uh um scenario for her. And commercials are what in shows, they're in intermission, right, to give you a break from what's happening, almost like pausing what's going on. And I feel like those two commercials that we saw was a break in reality, in her world again, that she's created, but that she can't escape it. And that's what
why
I
I reckon her in her mind. That's why I reckon her in her mind because things like that.
exactly. And I think that those two Easter eggs were amazing, and I think that they were done right. To me, that's what I read from those two commercials and those two Easter eggs. That's my take.
So those are two Easter eggs right there. Did you guys see any other?
Yeah, I was just gonna mention, and I think Nick said in the Bewitched beginning, you got the Grim Reaper in the back, and that's one of the evil characters from the Vision comic, which is kind of like the same thing as WandaVision. So in the Bewitched little thing, if you look behind, like there's like these little portraits, like little frames. You got Grim Reaper in the back, and I totally forgot to mention the B guy is Swarm from AIM. I totally forgot about that. The B guy that comes out of the he's
See,
Swarm.
see,
That's just conspiracies. That's what people are saying online.
But nah, that it's him, bro. It's him because I looked at the Bewitched beginning like earlier today, and it does have the Grim Reaper. It's like his helmet, his head, and I was reading the comic, the Vision comic, and he's in it. What's her name? The Vision's wife is like Victoria or something. Don't quote me. She like kills him, like snaps his neck in the comic and
and
buries him.
buries him, right?
So-
yeah.
And she gets blackmailed by the neighbor, and she kills the neighbor, and the neighbor. It's I'm not gonna spoil it. Yo, the Vision comic gets. That's what I was expecting. I was expecting that.
So the Grim Reaper thing is a cool reference because if you don't know, originally, um, Vision is based off of the mind of Wonder
His brother.
Man,
Yeah.
and his brother was the Grim Reaper.
Yep.
Yo, the older comics got some badass dialogue going on. Like you're not my brother. Like I was reading some of
Well,
those cutouts.
the whole thing is, and you know what's funny? It ties in with the Stark thing because the only reason they got their powers and the way they are is because of Tony Stark. His company basically running their company into the ground, and his bro. I think it's his brother die. Wonder Man's brother dies, and he thinks he's dead, and he gets all angry, and he goes to some experiment that turns him into ionic energy into Wonder Man, and he's a villain. And then when he finds out that his brother's alive and his brother's a villain with the scythe arm, um, he like eventually becomes good because like Iron Man convinces him, whatever, and then
Yep.
Ultron captures him and uses his brain to create freaking Vision, and then he was in love with Wanda, so then a Vision is in love with Wanda.
It's a good tie-in. Like it
I
does.
I was so upset when they originally did the Vision thing, and there was no Wonder Man reference. And I understand like Wonder Man's a very obscure character nowadays, but in like the '90s, he was like a very like used character.
He good guy. He a good guy, right? Wonder
Yeah.
Man pretty decent.
And yeah, that's why again I enjoyed those two specific,
Yo, Grim Reaper might come back, and we might have never known. They might throw that reference in there, like
They might,
like my
you know,
you're like
her
my brother.
alter is she? Question. You guys might know this because I'm not sure. She's an Omega level mutant, right?
I don't think the MCU confirmed that.
No, I
Well,
mean in the comic, she's Omega level, right?
In the comics, technically, she's not a mutant.
yeah,
I don't
technically
know
a
why,
mutant
but
form,
She's
but
she's not.
no,
apparently,
no,
I don't know
she
how.
hasn't been for a while now since.
Hey, we ain't talking about this new stuff Marvel's doing with these darn islands, okay? We're
No,
talking
no,
about
no. This
good
took
old WandaVision comics.
No, I'm just thinking because like she, this stuff could be bringing in. Obviously, we all think it's gonna bring in characters, but that Reaper like reference could be really important later on.
Agreed. I think they might give like Ultron Vision maybe some add-ons or something, right? As far as like his backstory goes, how you said you didn't like how they portrayed it or how the direction they went with him, they might adjust a few things too, because she is like you said reality warping.
It's really cool seeing him black and white because in the '90s, Vision was like the white Vision, like who's completely white,
You,
like
you look
no.
pretty dope as Vision in black and white. Not gonna lie.
Yes,
Seeing him in color, I like the black and white Vision. It looks dope, like you said.
like the '90s Vision was completely white, like no color at all.
Right, and he had the black little outline or
Yes,
something.
and that looks sick, and that's the kind of like the feel I got when I saw him
Yeah.
as the Vision.
Comparing color vision and him, right? When you saw the red, it was cool. I totally forgot like how he looks out of suit, kind of like that's his natural kind of look. But the black and white did look nice too on him, particularly.
Another reference that I was curious about was you know how when he goes to the local council, the town watch,
Yeah.
like when he eats the gum, which is the dumbest thing ever. And he says he's like, I got some juicy gossip. And he's like, that guy's a communist. And everyone just looks around and they just starts laughing. Like, what?
1950s, baby, a tough time, man.
That made no sense because like it didn't seem like he knew what era he was in, right? Like they didn't even know what the heart was in the calendar. So like it's almost like that was their first day and they were just playing, but like he didn't really know. So there was nothing to bring in the communists. Like, oh yeah, I saw a certain pin, whatever. So now I know that he's Hydra.
Yeah, like,
It was just
but like, it was so weird that he was like bringing in the whole Red Scare kind of thing, which in that time period, like, you know, the whole like you people just accuse you of something. But that was just so random, and I didn't see that coming at all.
But I mean, technically speaking, in the time frame we are in, Wanda is a communist.
What?
1950s, Russia,
Yeah.
Soviet.
yeah.
You say I'll just remember I'm from Australia, yes. I don't know about your communisms.
Because you're learning the wrong history. That's
Theory system is social organizations in which all properties own.
so
Right.
that's pretty much all the positives and negatives we had, except for Nuno. You had one negative, which was you didn't thought it was being too kid friendly. Like you didn't like the fact that he wasn't drunk. He had a gum and stuff.
We all
Or,
know. I think, right? Do you guys agree? You think he was drunk? It looked like it, right? Like a little
Yeah, he's
kid.
drunk. Yeah.
He was drunk. That was like the kid-friendly drunkenness.
Yeah, but
right?
he's
Like,
also a robot, so like I feel like liquor would have just gone right through him. The gum actually like getting stuck inside, making him all screwed up because he's a robot.
making him all slow and stuff, right?
I feel like the alcohol wouldn't have done anything because it would have just kind of gone through his system. But like the gear thing and how they drew it, the way they animated that and drew it kind of gave me Fallout vibes. I don't know if you guys have ever played Fallout.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so Fallout's a game that's basically based in like the future if culture stayed the
The war.
50s. And there's lots of animations and stuff. That animation was I bet you it's the same guy. I bet you the same guy that does the Fallout like animations did this because that's the vibe I got.
And the animation just to me played into like old cartoons. You know, it's old like Hanna Barbera, you know, type of
Barbara.
animation.
yeah.
And you know the gum getting stuck in the gear. I mean, come on, we know that Vision is, you know, an extremely you know, futuristic or high tech, whatever you want to call it.
He could have just phased that gum out. Like
Yeah,
Yeah, he
so-
could have just phased the gum out.
So it just
come
played
on,
to me
guys,
again.
Maybe because he didn't know what gum is. So you know what I mean. He didn't know that it's the gum
Well,
that's making him.
He didn't
malfunction.
mean to swallow it. The guy bumped into him and he swallowed it by accident.
To me it just plays into the idea that, again, these shows back in the day created situations that were meant to be funny. They were meant to be funny. They were meant to be, you know, almost like tongue in cheek kind of way. So the gum getting stuck in a gear, we know that that's not realistic, but again, I think that it just lends to that type of time period and that type of world that they're creating. So that's how I read into that, you know.
This show's going to obviously take a major turn because isn't this adapted to connects with the multiverse, the Doctor Strange multiverse? Isn't this meant to connect to that?
I think so. It might, you know. I mean,
Because you're going, and they're saying that this Doctor Strange is going to be more of a horror film. So you're going like we're going from a complete kiddie show. So by the end of this show, is it going to be a horror film?
It's gonna be what's it called? Gizmos.
That's
Gremlins.
It's gonna be that's what Disney consider a horror show.
I think that, I mean, if it doesn't turn into a complete, you know, like horror type of movie, again, I touching back, I know that sounds like a broken record talking about the creepiness and the unease feeling, but I think that this is gonna get pretty dark because think of think of the scene in the talent show, right? Where the whole reason why they're doing the talent show is for
The children.
a school and the children. But did you guys notice the almost, I don't know, culty kind of, you know, brainwashed way that everyone kept on, you know, repeating for the children, like it's creepy, right? That could either, you know, tie into Wanda being pregnant at the end, but just that kind of, you know, those kinds of scenes are they're unnerving to me, right? And
So-
then the way, no, I was saying, and then at the end, you know, when we see that beekeeper, you see the fear in Wanda's eyes, you know, where she obviously realizes that she has this power, and again, it's almost either subconscious that she understands that wherever she's in, it's not real, and you see the fear in her to the point where, you know, when she says no, that she either rewinds back time or she rewinds back time and changes the reality of what's happening, because that scene ended up playing differently with her having, you know, children. And I think that her, you know, being pregnant at the end is again her trying to, you know, bring in more happiness into her world. But there's definitely horror themes, or, you know, I guess if not horror, at least suspenseful themes
Yeah.
that are at play here. Um, and the fact that somebody is watching her, and the fact that we do have that character that's trying to reach out to her. I think that this is going to take a very different turn. And if it does play on a last note for me, if it does play into the idea of the multiverse and Doctor Strange's upcoming film, keep in mind Wanda created a whole new reality and universe during House of M.
Yeah.
She completely changed the reality of the
No
entire.
more mutants.
No
Well,
more.
when she rewinded in the
And
show, she changed that reality. So that beekeeping, or we'll call him Candyman, aka Candyman, that reality kept going on. She just rewinded herself and she changed that moment. So,
You guys,
so I think
you guys are assuming that she's the one that rewinded. Dude, we don't know if she's
right,
referring
right,
to
right,
herself.
right. What if it's Big Daddy up there typing everything, Magneto, right?
Exactly.
I mean, potentially, again, we don't know. You're right. This is me assuming that she's the one that changed that reality when she said no, because that's kind of like,
When
I
she
guess,
said
the
no more mutants, things changed. She said no, things changed.
things changed. So this could be again, her beginning process of her losing her mind. Because who was it? I don't want to get into theories if we're not there yet, but just
I was about to say that's our next thing. So if
yeah.
you
Yeah,
guys
on
get
theories.
So,
go,
I've
we
got
want
some
to
theories.
Well, I want to say one thing. I want to ask one question before we get into the theories, because Carlos
yeah.
mentioned how she became pregnant. Do you think she's gonna have the twins, or is it gonna be different?
I think it's not gonna even happen. I don't
You don't
know.
think
I don't
so?
think it's gonna
No, in
happen.
the
I
trailer, she's got the twins.
Oh
In the
really? I
trailer,
don't
Oh,
even remember.
in the
in the
trailer,
trailer,
she's got 2 kids. Yeah.
Oh, so she's
in
gonna
the
have
trailer,
Wiccan and Speed. Sweet.
look at the trailer though. I don't think that we actually see. I mean, she's holding 2 kids, but I don't think we see faces.
Yeah, and you see the 2 cradles, but you're right. We don't.
We don't see faces. The way that she's holding those two babies, you don't actually see a baby there.
So
Yeah.
you said we're gonna get Wicked and Speed. Who's that?
Oh, Wicked and
That
Speed are her twin kids that
are twin kids.
they give up for adoption, and then for the longest time they don't know that they're a mom. They're part of Young Avengers back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Wiccan is married to Hulkling.
Okay. All right.
So you know how
I heard you say Wicked, like the play Wicked.
no
But Wicked, I never
Wiccan,
heard that.
like sorcery Wiccans,
Yeah.
Sorcery.
Wicca.
yeah.
You probably saw him during he was I didn't read the event.
Empire.
Yeah,
Empire.
he's probably
Yeah,
in it
Empire.
because
They got married. Yeah,
they got married.
I read. Yeah.
Because I know in X-Men in Sword they mentioned because Magneto was there that like oh the scroll guy was like oh like the Emperor's like father and grandfather-in-law's here.
See, I keep getting confused because I know that Vision had a whole relationship with Wanda and everything, but I keep going back to the Vision comic with Tom King. So I'm thinking, wait, no, his kids are Vision and whatever that other kid's name is. Like, so I'm getting confused, like which two
So
kids it could
in the
be.
90s during like the West Coast Avengers and East Coast Avengers thing during like Operation whatever that was, they had kids and they retired. They were in a cabin, and then they give up the kids, like they put them up for adoption, and then in the like the mid early 2000s, those kids come back as Wiccan and Speed in Young Avengers.
Are they still
Vision
technically their children?
What?
Are they still technically Vision and Wanda's children?
They're definitely Wanda's children. I'm not sure because this is where the thing it comes in. How Speed
It's a
obviously
robot.
has the same powers as Quicksilver, his uncle, and Wiccan has the exact powers as well, has similar powers to Wanda. And the
So
reason he calls himself Wiccan is because he originally calls himself Asgardian, I think, or something like that,
Yeah.
because he thought his parents were Asgardian. Because I don't think the kids are raised together; they're split.
Yeah. So a quick like brief history on why they were put up for adoption, and why for a while Wanda didn't even know, and they didn't know that they were Wanda's children, because originally Wanda created them so that her and Vision, can have kids. So she ended up actually creating them. Later on, we find out that they were actually created using a piece of Mephisto's basically being, and then
Everything's
Mephisto.
Mephisto.
Everything is Mephisto. Everything. Everything. And basically, Mephisto ended up, taking that, that energy, for lack of a better, term, back, and her children stopped existing. This was the beginning of her, losing her mind, which led to the story of Avengers Disassembled, which led into House of M, her mind, breaking because of her remembering that she lost her children. What ended up happening is that their souls and their being ended up being reincarnated uh, in Wiccan and Speed when they were, children, but they were put up for adoption. And it wasn't until later that Wanda and themselves ended up finding out that they're actually her children who ceased to exist. And that's
That
the
makes
story
sense.
of why
I was
we are.
wondering
No,
somewhat of like a
I was
plot
gonna
hole.
say, I thought they weren't her kids, but you just explained it perfectly. Those
They
two.
are. Yeah. They
I
are.
remember them not being her kids, but what you just said, they are reincarnations, basically.
Correct. So Wiccan and Speed, they have biological, parents, this new version of them, but Wanda is their original mother,
The soul is the children of Wanda.
that she created. Exactly.
Right. And in
And
the
that's
Vision comic, and I'm sorry to interrupt you,
no,
Carlo,
you're good.
since you're talking about kids, we can cover those. The Vision comic has Viv and Vic. Those are the two kids, and I believe Victoria or Viviana. What is the wife's name in that? Carlos.
I can't remember. I can't remember her name honestly.
And they have Marky. I think that's their dog. And
Yeah.
he was a real dog that died, and he made him into a robot now.
Yep.
So we got Viv and Vic as in the Vision comics. So we got a few names that they might end up using. So I just wanted to share those kids with you too. But those are just visions. I don't think they have anything like Carlos. They're not Wanda's kids.
They're not at all. No.
Not at all. They're like personalities of Vision. I think they explain it a little.
Right. Yeah. That he basically created. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Basically, Wanda's story, but Vision. Basically,
You know what? Yeah, that's actually a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, when you were explaining it, I'm like,
Yeah.
Marvel 2000 and these 2010 and up comics, they're just reusing and recycling stories. I mean, it's literally the same thing.
Kinda, yeah.
In a robotic form, though.
Yeah, exactly. But so touching on her children, and one theory that I have into how you mentioned, Matt, that this might tie into the horror aspect, or the more, I guess, mature aspect of Doctor Strange, is that I think that this world that she's built is the beginning of her being able to use her reality warping powers on a larger scale, and she could play a role in either the destruction or a tear in the fabric of our reality, which can play into the alternate universes that we're gonna see in Doctor Strange. And
What if the comic?
yeah, and it could create a scenario in which Doctor Strange has to face whatever it is that Wanda is either doing or what's happening to her. So that's one theory that I have into
Or while Wanda is doing the show, while WandaVision's going on, Doctor Strange's movie is countering all the actions that she's doing. Like that'd be pretty cool too.
Potentially, yeah.
As she's changing stuff, or she's trapped, or whatever is happening, other things are like rippling, like the ripples of it are like spreading out, and Doctor Strange is just there. I mean, I don't know, it's gonna be crazy, I guess.
My theory, like stuff like this, I like to think right outside the box, like just right out there.
Yeah.
I reckon that I don't reckon it's her like with her mind like trying to vision, because at the end of Endgame, she says on the water to I can't remember who she's to Hawkeye, sorry, that they're both looking down on us. Like she was happy. Like this isn't a thing like her going to try to get Vision. Like she was happy. She knew that he was in a happy place. So I reckon she's been kidnapped by someone, and I reckon they're doing what you call it experiments on her, and that's what's gonna lead to obviously the villain at the end. But I reckon she's been captured and they're experimenting on her, and then that's what's
So that is actually that was gonna be my theory as well, because we don't know if she's with friends or foes.
Yeah.
The reason that I think that she might be with friends is because we keep hearing that voice like, Wanda, who's doing this to you? Who's doing this? That could be a telepath trying to reach her, while she is stuck with maybe Hydra or someone against her,
AIM.
Yeah, or I'm saying, man, what if Michael Fassbender is behind that screen, Magneto or something? Like
So,
we get introduced to Magneto.
Are we ready for theories? Are we going all in for theories?
Yeah, no, we've been going.
All right,
man.
I was trying to rate you, and what all the viewers I have aren't going, only like 3 or 4 at a time. I don't know, but so I have so many theories, so many theories right now.
Number one.
So we'll start with the fact that I think that obviously she's inside her own head, and she's altering things, and things are coming in, and when I believe, because Manny said, what if she's not in her head? Like what if she, or something like that? I think that the events that Carlos and Nuno mentioned this earlier, how like after Endgame and everything, like how Vision's gone and she's like, all like freaking out, and she creates this alternate reality within her head. She's probably in a coma. So if she's creating this alternate reality inside of her head, like, and there's people speaking to her and shit, I think that the people making the changes and stuff, maybe it's Professor X. Maybe because the X-Men or the Avengers couldn't.
That would be. Oh fuck.
What if the Avengers couldn't do anything? They didn't know what to do, and Doctor Strange was like, "Hey, I know this guy who's
shit.
who's like, they hide in Westchester. Because he's in New York. Let's go to Westchester. Like, I got this guy. Like, he might be able to help." And like, Professor X and his X-Men, like Jean Grey and her, are trying to like guide her out.
That's what I was trying to insinuate with.
And then how when she sees like these weird reality things, like she freaks out when she sees the helicopter. She freaks out when she sees like the B guy. Like these are them trying to like break her reality that she's building up as a wall. Like she's doing like the blanket. She's in her safety blanket, and when things are trying to rip it away, she's trying to pull it back over like deeper and deeper. My theory is that when they pull the sheet out from under her, she's gonna spiral and create basically an M Day event, an House of M Day like event. But instead of no more mutants, it's gonna establish the mutant thing, where it's gonna send this shockwave that's gonna turn all these kids into mutants, and all like these teenagers that like have been like experiencing thing and thinking that something's weird, all of a sudden like their like deepest thoughts, like these nightmares of them having powers, shit like New Mutants, like the movie, where like they put in a ward because like they have these things that are wrong with them, like that whole idea. All of a sudden people all over the world, their mutant genes like the X gene might have existed in the MCU already, but she's gonna send this shockwave that's gonna upturn everything.
Like a reverse, instead of no more mutants, more mutants.
Or just mutants. I have a theory that some way in the middle of the season of the show, or at the end at least, there's gonna be a scene where she like wakes up like spiraling, and you're just gonna see her eyes open, and she's just gonna say the word mutants.
Nick, I've got a question because you obviously know your X-Men really good. When did they do this whole story about them being in that secret island, like their own When does that all
Oh,
start? When did Marvel?
that's a new thing that happened in
Years ago.
during 2019. There was
Yeah.
Okay.
two
Well, I
series.
reckon, going by your theory, I reckon you're right. I'm telling you, I reckon you're right about Doctor Strange knowing someone, Professor X, helping her because she's stuck in that trance. But because everyone's question is how they're going to bring the mutants into
Yeah,
to Marvel. Well, you know what? I reckon Marvel's already set the seed by the comic bringing in this. They are going to be sheltered and hidden from the world this whole time. That's why I reckon they've done this whole storyline.
Right.
Yeah, that's why they've done this whole storyline in the comics, hiding the mutants from the Earth.
So when their island pops up, you're not surprised.
I don't
Yeah, so
think
you
they're
guys
gonna.
know.
I don't think they're gonna
Obviously, for
jump
the
off.
casual goers, it'd be hard to explain, but for your comic fans, they will know. Oh yeah, so they have been hidden the whole time. But I reckon that it is. I reckon Doctor Strange knows about him,
Yeah,
and he's gonna.
Or
my
or
go,
sorry,
Carlos.
Nick. No, I was gonna say, or touching on what you said, Nick. I think that's brilliant, honestly. And you know what? It reminds me of Professor X during the House of M events, or actually right before House of M. He goes to try and help Wanda
Yeah,
to stop her from spiraling right before she says no more mutants.
yeah.
And,
So, and you know,
and
he's used to helping like telepaths and like mutants like that have like these crazy powers. Because look at his son Legion. Like he's he's dealt with reality warpers before. So like
exactly.
but my problem with what Matt said is with the island thing. The island wouldn't work off the bat because it's a point in the mutant history where they have risen above, like where now they're equals of humans. They couldn't start off like that because the whole thing that makes the mutants so good is that everyone hates them. Even when they save people, they hate them. And the
Yeah.
island allowed them to have their own like sanctum and their own government and everything, that if you started off at that high point, I don't know where they would go.
But I mean, it could.
They can go to an Avengers versus X-Men. They can find out that the X-Men.
Yeah.
Or this a theory that I have building on what Nick said and Professor X. If it's not something where they're hidden, because Doctor Strange is trying to help Wanda, because they realize that she can create some like serious damage in the world with what's happening, to her. The fact that his next movie again is gonna be the multiverse. I think that something cool that they could do would be that he goes out to seek someone that can help Wanda,
Yeah.
and he basically ends up going to a reality where X-Men and mutants exist.
In the
Professor X,
multiverse.
yeah, he goes out into the multiverse. He brings Professor X to help Wanda. It still doesn't go right,
And
and she ends up, yeah, exactly. She ends up fucking merging either different realities or at least the reality of where Doctor Strange goes to seek out Xavier, and she at least merges those two fucking worlds. And
my only issue with that is if they take the cheap route and they try to merge the Sony X-Men universe with
yeah,
it,
no,
that's gonna ruin everything.
stay away from that.
Nah, it'll be all
Fucking-
recast.
Fucking Michael Fassbender, let's go.
I would take Michael Fassbender, but not that
Take
version.
the best one and leave the rest. You got to take them all. You got to
For
take
sure.
Evan Peters, Michael Fassbender. We got some heavy hitters on there, man. Come on.
You know, I think though that could be a possibility, and it would even open the door to bringing like Quicksilver back.
Yo,
Yeah.
I thought
If you're gonna bring, huh?
I love Evan Peters. I wish they used Evan Peters for Wanda, like instead of
For
bruh,
sure, but
Evan Peters killer.
but
Um
I that'd be a cool theory,
no,
and
I agree.
would be a brilliant way to just tie fucking everything together and bring the X-Men in.
I agree that they should do that, but my thing is like if they don't do that, what I'm hoping that they start because everyone wants them to start with like all these mutants, but I want them to start small so that we have all these possible storylines that they could build. Because I'm hoping that they just start with like a Westchester Xavier's Institute, which him and Jean Grey are using their powers to keep hidden, and he seeks out mutants before their powers go crazy, and then wipes everyone's brain and takes them to the academy, and then they're safe. And you have like Magneto that's kind of lurking around in the shadows with his brotherhood, building his brotherhood, trying to like find his kids. And when she does like whatever she does, like maybe like he calls him Magneto because he knows who she is, and like Magneto showing up is what trigger. I'm hoping that Magneto shows up in the show, and maybe they use this show to introduce people like Wonder Man, like Simon, like the Williams brothers, like
Yeah.
weird obscure characters that would only make sense if she's fucking with reality.
Yeah, and you know what? They could easily do that. Where again, the X Men are hidden. They existed, but Xavier has been protecting them. And you're right, Magneto is trying to build up his brotherhood, and they've been duking it out in the background, but it's been hidden from people. And they could introduce it as easy and seamlessly as when they introduced Spider Man, right? One day, all of a sudden, like Tony goes out because he sees this video on online, and it's Spidey, and he's always been around. We just haven't really touched on that in the world. I think they could easily do that with the X-Men, and it's just here they are. They've been hidden. Let's go from there. And they could continue building on their history and the movies from there. But it would tie in again Wanda bringing Charles Xavier to help her, and tie in Doctor Strange, possibly the multiverse. It would just be it. It would really be Marvel taking a step and being ballsy and just doing something that's epic. So
That would be better because if they did the whole, they were hiding the whole time, it wouldn't make sense. Avengers when New York, the very first Avengers when New York got attacked, where were they? That's a big enough event. An
exactly.
alien.
That's
Yeah,
that's the
but
way
you
you
know
make
what
him.
they
That
could
people
use
hate him.
is that they were children still, and that he didn't want
But what
them.
about Xavier? Xavier's powerful
Yeah, but
enough
you
to
always
do.
see Xavier's kind of selfish and protective a lot. So he could have been like, back off. Let's see what happens when he saw the heroes show up. Because or they could have actually stepped in certain places, but he wiped it from media because he
Yeah,
doesn't want them getting exposed to the world
exactly.
and people retaliating against them. Because that's like
I
always a
accept
big
that.
theme is like
That's
the
cool.
whole like
I accept
anti mutant hate thing.
Yeah, and what would be really cool, man, to just pay tribute again to the Avengers is Endgame we saw them travel back and we got to revisit the invasion and seeing the Avengers team up and then fighting. I think it'd be really cool for them you know to address that when they revisit that invasion again, and we do see them fighting off the Chitari, them doing all of this shit. um
that would be cool, like having
they
the background, like you see the Avengers in the background, Hulk jumping or whatever, and then Wolverine and
Ex-
everything. All right, we're gonna go this way. They went that way. We're gonna go this way.
exactly. Xavier goes in, wipes everybody's mind, and you get to tie it all back to the Avengers, still to the beginning of the MCU really coming together. It's almost like that. I don't know, almost like that convergence point where everything just shoots off from there.
That would be cool.
A sick scene that needs to happen is Bucky seeing Wolverine and being like, "Yo, Logan, what's up?"
Yeah,
Oh,
or just
dude, that would be so
Yeah,
sick.
I'm thinking the
just
way
have
you
like
guys
a, hey man, you haven't aged. You haven't
You
aged
have
a
an age at
bit.
all. He's gonna be like, "Neither of you."
Yeah,
Day.
exactly. That would be cool.
because,
I feel like
Or him, or just
because
going off
Logan,
of that.
reboot of it.
Going off of that, it would be cool in the Captain America with Sam and Bucky. It'd
Yeah,
be
yep,
cool. Like for one episode, he'd be like, "Oh, I actually know someone who could help us," and
and
there
it's
goes
Logan.
Logan.
it's
Because
Yeah,
dude,
Logan. That
Logan served with Cap and Bucky, man.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Oh, that'd be
I was thinking that how you guys were saying, it's pretty much sounding like a little soft reboot of everything. Like everyone's opinion kind of like adds up. I'm thinking that once WandaVision is done, I'm feeling like maybe Falcon and the other show, Bucky, is like its own entity going along with the MCU. But I feel like with the WandaVision or the Multiverse Strange, I feel like what the easiest route to do is basically just say that they were always there, and by Wanda or Doctor Strange altering a few things in New York when the Avengers fought, the X-Men fought with them too. We just didn't see it because Wanda changed something now and everything changed up. So they were always there fighting. They fought Ultron, they fought everybody, and everyone was there. Wanda or Doctor Strange in the movie or in the show will just change something that will tell us, like, oh yeah, in the Avengers there was Wolverine fighting an Xavier, like. Yeah, and that's why we're getting so many different shows, because we might see, like, in the Secret Invasion with Nick Fury, we might see some X-Men in there or something thrown in. So, like, I feel like maybe they're kind of just gonna tell us they were always there, and not that they were kids or they weren't powered up. They were actually there. We just didn't see them because Wanda changed something, and now they're there.
Yeah,
So
well,
Like,
I
we'll have
think
to go at we'll go into it like a kind of like a retcon, kind of like a little bit, like, like a soft reboot, change it up a little bit. So the new shows and new movies coming out will always include the X-Men and all the other mutants, like they were always there, because Wanda changed the MCU literally, I think, rather
so
than just a movie or a
so
show.
Nuno, I have a question for you because that's a good way to do it. Because I was thinking the same thing. What about Fantastic Four? How do we explain them?
I think I think they're just gonna be new.
You think they're
No,
gonna be
I
new? You think they're gonna
I
start from the
I think
bottom?
No, I think they're gonna
Origin.
do the arc when the Fantastic Four are missing for like 10, 15 years, and they're like out in space somewhere.
Oh, you
I
think they're
think that
gonna do the same thing they kind of did with OG Ant Man? How Hank Pym like existed already? Like
yeah,
he was
yeah,
like an
yeah.
old
They're
man.
already there. They're out in space doing some crazy stuff. Like,
well, I
maybe we'll
think
see their spaceship flying in Celestials or something in Eternals. You know what I'm saying? Like a little Easter egg. Like they're just flying through
oh,
time and space. Like
or dude,
they're just getting added in.
not
They're
to
getting
not,
them.
not to detract too much from WandaVision, but because you fucking brought that up, you know what would be a sick way of bringing them in is that we see, records of them, going on a mission from the 90s. They get, hit with this cosmic force, but it basically, makes them be unconscious because they're stuck out in space. And Captain Marvel in the 90s, she takes off for fucking years. And
Yeah, she runs into them.
and
We're gonna.
yeah, exactly. You know who she finds out there? She finds their fucking shuttle, brings them back when they wake up, and they're back here now in the present. They haven't really aged, but when they wake up, dude, fucking Fantastic Four.
Yeah, Captain Marvel can definitely be involved in that.
So
She's a good tie-in
that
because she's talking
what
about
what about their wealth? What about the tower? How do you if they're gone for all the time? Where did the money come from?
never built, never
You
built.
don't think so? Do you think they're okay?
nah, it was getting built in. It was getting built in. What movie was it?
Or
Like
Iron Man built
Spider-Man?
it, and he
Nah,
took it
there's
over.
Well,
if you
the
watch this.
the Baxter building doesn't originally belong to them. I think they buy it, right? They have like a
Yeah,
lab at like the top.
yeah. And when
They
they
might
first
turn,
started,
they might turn it into something like Iron Man bought the building they started construction on and made it the Avenger Tower, and
yeah,
he's gonna come like, isn't this our building? And it's the Avenger Tower. Like, nah, y'all got bought out.
yeah, but I mean, you know what? When they first started though, they didn't have the Baxter building, right?
I thought where was the lab? I thought they lived in there, like in the penthouse.
No, I mean before they became the Fantastic Four, when they went on their mission uh to space, did they already have the Baxter building? I
Yeah,
don't remember them.
yeah, they had it already.
Yeah,
And I
He
think
he
Doctor
was rich already.
he was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I mean is, they had the actual Baxter building already.
The Baxter building, I think, existed. I think they just rented an apartment or like the thing. I don't. His lab wasn't in the Baxter building.
That's what I'm saying. His lab wasn't right.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
All right. Let's
Let's
bring
go
this
back to WandaVision for a
WandaVision.
sec.
Yeah.
Let's come back. Let's come back, guys.
Going back to WandaVision for a sec. I reckon because everyone keeps asking, "Oh, why isn't Marvel making any announcements about X-Men? X-Men, X-Men?" I think they're like, "Nah, we're not gonna make nah." I reckon X-Men's a surprise. I reckon they're not gonna make any announcements. They're just gonna appear somewhere. I don't think they're going to announce it because I think they want to get that excitement back in their films because you know what I mean. You've got to have that awe to be put in that awe, and I reckon that they're going to use this show to bring in the X-Men. I just don't think they're ever going to announce bringing in the X-Men. They're just going to do it.
or at least
I
or at
think we
least
all agree.
WandaVision. Yeah, or at least WandaVision is gonna open up a lot of possibilities, and that's why ultimately I enjoyed the first two episodes because it's setting up this world and it's gonna set up, what's really happening with Wanda. Um, you know, I personally really enjoyed the first two episodes. It's not super action packed. Um, yes, it's something extremely different, but I think that it's ultimately gonna pay off, and I think that it's a cool way of introducing a new dynamic, I guess, and it plays into the almost chaos that Wanda you know is known for and where her powers originally derived from. Um, so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
So I did have a theory, but while we were talking, as I'm like going through my theory, I debunked it already. Like I already like, nope, that's an
Yo, Manny, don't
What
feel
was it?
bad. I swear
What
to
was
God,
it?
no.
guys
So
here,
basically, all it was we keep thinking Wanda. It's called WandaVision, right? So I was just like, the last time that we saw Vision, there's no way that he should be alive. He got killed when he got the stone taken out. There's no reason that he should be here. And then I went back to, well, what if after he got killed, they took his body back to Shuri in Wakanda, and she finished her surgery on him, and he doesn't need the Mind Stone. She finished that surgery, and now what we're seeing is Vision waking up and trying to remember everything. He remembers Wanda so much because that's what his love was, whatever, all that stuff. I thought that sounded pretty solid. I was like, yes,
You know what, Manny?
that's a twist.
Everyone thinks Wanda. It's all about Wanda, but you know what?
that's a safe route, a
That's
clean
a
safe
twist.
route.
But in my mind, as you guys are talking, I started remembering like everyone that's reaching out like through the radio and stuff, they're saying Wanda. And there'd be no reason unless they're
Yeah, but
saying
that's to throw you off.
yeah. It could be like
It's him.
Wanda.
It's Wanda talking to him.
Wanda is inside Vision's mind, like trying to get him to wake up and stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe she's getting lost in there, so someone's calling for Wanda to come back, but she's inside Vision.
Or it could be
That's my
a
theory.
group of them are all in a coma, and Wanda's the one controlling this fake reality, and we haven't seen every. Maybe we see more people as the show goes on.
Futurama, everybody plugged in, like laying around. Don't plug in. Don't remember that Futurama episode.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just my theory. That's a quick one. Like I was like, because like you, man, I like to think outside of the box. I like to think, what's the twist here? What won't you see coming? So that was me.
We should grade it. Everybody should give their points on like out of 10. I think
I
you
think.
guys
All right. I think we should do
made it a lot better.
a rate for episode 1 and a rate for episode 2, because I think
Correct.
as it goes on, it's gonna get different. Like I know these two kind of group in together because they came out at the same time, but I think it's gonna be different as things go on. Let's just start the trend.
All right, so I'll go down the list. Nuno, you're first.
No, start with you, Manny, and then I'll start.
Okay. I mean, for me, episode 1 was was a 7. Like it was a good start. It was good, like very happy, very like first episodes are always kind of tough because you don't know anything. There's no backstory. But I'd give it a 7 for it got my attention. And then I'm sorry, a 6. I meant 6. A 7 for episode 2 because that's when the unease really started. The girl cutting her hand and saying, "Who are you?" Blah blah, and then like immediately you're saying, "You know how to fix this? I can do it myself." Blah blah. I don't know. Like I really like that. Like you were saying, Carlos, I really do appreciate the unease at the end of the episodes, especially at the end of this one. And then out of nowhere, she was pregnant, so it's like, oh, I need to watch the next episode. So 6 for number 1, and a 7 for number 2. So we'll go Nuno, Carlos, Matt, and then Nick.
Got it. So for episode 1, I'd have to say 5 out of 10. I would have dropped it a lot lower, but I feel like speaking with a few people and talking over the podcast made me appreciate a few things that I didn't appreciate before. So that's why I will say that helped a lot. And I wouldn't say that I learned more information, but I think you guys made it more clear because it was a simple episode, like very straightforward. But I feel like you guys shined a few lights on things that need to be have a light on them. Episode 2, I'd say the same, like 5 plus at least, like maybe a 6, because it amped it up a little bit. I do gotta say before we ended and everything, I did not appreciate the Disney-esque, like everything comes to life. Like it's so like cheesy. Like I felt like it was the most cheesiest Disney thing they could have done. Like I don't know, just me, but that's the only thing I wanted to add in too. But yeah, episode 1, 5 out of 10. Episode 2, 6 out of 10. That's for me.
So for me, episode 1, I give it a 7. It piqued my interest. I enjoyed the Bewitched, I Love Lucy, all of those shows. The callback to that. I really enjoyed the chemistry, like I mentioned, between Wanda and Vision. It caught my attention. Episode 2, I give it a solid 8.5 for me because it really piqued my interest. Again, the uneasy feeling, the creepy vibe, you know, underneath everything. It just really has my attention. I want to see where the story goes. Um, I think that the characters are starting to come to life, and I enjoy this world building that's been established. And on top of that, I think that it's gonna open up the doors to a lot of awesome, you know, plot lines, and I'm excited to see where it goes. The ending was perfect. It got you hooked, and it has you asking questions that you want answers to. So yeah, I gotta give it a solid 8.5. Yeah.
Matt.
Well, after talking with you guys, I did go up a bit because two things though before I give my thing out. One, I watched this with literally 1.5 hours sleep, so I was kind of not, you know, I was not in it. So when I would have no sleep, if it's boring from the start, I'm just not into it. And secondly, I'm obviously more of a DC fan, so like with the Titans and all those shows, all those Easter eggs I can see and I enjoy them more. So Marvel, when I don't understand Easter eggs and don't see them as much, so I don't enjoy it as much. Originally, episode 1 or 3 and episode 2 or 4, but after talking to you fellas and getting an understanding, I do feel that you know what, it was actually a bit better than what I rated. So I'm gonna go give him up an extra 2 points, and I'm gonna say episode 1 I'd give a 5, and episode 2 I'll give a 6. But it's just that not being a Marvel, like I read the certain line of comics, I think I just don't see get that more enjoyment. It's the same as the movies. I don't get all those Easter eggs that you guys will pick up on. Where DC, I'll pick up on everything and enjoy them a lot more. So, but yeah, I'll give it a 5 and a 6. But I just know it's going to lead to something. I think the first 4 or 5 episodes are just going to build it up, and I know come the last 3 episodes, we'll be giving them 8s, 9s, and 10s. Man, to be honest.
Nice. Nick.
All right. First, Maddie, I'm telling you, pick up a couple trades and read some 90s and early 2000s like Avengers, like X-Men stories. They're some of the best like things ever written. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna that's where they're getting a lot of their movie ideas from, is from that time period. Okay, so out of 10, I'm gonna be super critical. Episode 1, I'm gonna give a 4. And episode 2, I'm gonna give like a 6.5. Because I liked how there was no intro in episode 1. The intro added a lot of points in episode 2. I liked the whole in episode 2 you had like more of the fracturing of reality with the stuff hitting the wall and the helicopter and the bee guy and all that stuff. And her using her powers to with the women and at the talent show, and there was way more stuff going on in the second episode. I liked the first episode. There were so many holes for me where I'm like, why didn't they just do this? Why didn't they just do that? Like the only real fracture you get of reality is when they're eating dinner and he's choking, and she's just like, stop that, stop that, stop that, stop that. Like I wanted to punch the TV. Like shut up. Like I got it after the first 15 times she said it. Like, and they just kept going, and she was like, Vision, like, why don't you do anything? Like why? Like they're just standing there. And I understand that Vision's probably not actually alive, and she's part of her figment. But like that episode, there was so many things where I was sitting there like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like what is going on? Like this is not what I thought I was getting into. But then when I realized what it was, and I went into the second episode, there was more things that I appreciated, and there was more things I thought they did better with the theme. So I give episode 2 a lot of credit because it took something I didn't like and made me enjoy it. But episode 1 left a sour taste in my mouth even now.
So I want to reiterate or go back to my theory about where we're inside Vision. I remember Nuno talking about Monica Rambeau. That's her name. That Maria Rambeau was Captain Marvel's friend in the past. The daughter is Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
So if this person that we see in the show is Monica, that can actually add to my theory, as in the fact that now Monica's in there, we got Wanda in there, and then maybe that one agent, he's in there somewhere, but he's lost in the radio or something like that. I'm just saying Monica Rambeau being in there, it's going to be definitely noteworthy. Also, I want to say you heard it here first. Nuno, you said something. You heard it here. You had a
I
theory.
said that in the beginning about Wanda and Shuri when they were doing the operation on him. How
Oh,
much-
I meant you're saying that there's gonna be Swarm, the B guy.
Oh yeah,
You heard it here first.
I know.
Here,
Matt
said it.
Matt said they're saying it online too. But
Oh,
man,
okay.
I was looking at character build and like the way MCU does characters. That's definitely Swarm, and the Bewitched. That's definitely Grim Reaper. I'd have to check the helicopter. The helicopter is definitely something else. I have to like maybe there's a print on it we have to see or the color scheme, but it's Iron Man color scheme.
Well, the
Mhm.
thing,
Ooh,
And then-
Crimson
Crimson Dawn, Dynamite.
Dynamo, Crimson Dynamo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's something. Everything is
Because
a
they
hero.
also mentioned communism in that episode, so that could be it.
Yo, you're right.
So
right.
the interwebs, they heard it here first. All right. I don't care if there's already articles about it.
Crimson Dynamite, not Iron Man. Crimson, right? Literally, and he's a Russian character.
which
Sick.
would totally fit.
Yo, sick.
And then-
Communist
And
film.
the thing with Captain Marvel's friend that we see in there. So Captain Marvel in like 90s comics is like really strong. She's she's Miss Marvel, and before that she's something else. She's originally
binary.
She's strongly tied in with the X-Men when they're doing their whole space exploration stuff in the 90s.
Okay, yes. And
So
you know what?
everything is
Because
hinting that
she has a problem with Rogue. Rogue fucks up her brain.
Yeah.
And then, so then I also two last things was one. I just want to say I'm very proud of you guys because I looked up Easter eggs for these two episodes, and we pretty much got all of them. One of them that we missed was like there's a symbol on the Vision's tie. I don't know what that Vision.
And there's a symbol on the there's a symbol on the
On the metal clasp that he puts on his tie.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. And then there's also like a notebook that has like the sword on top of the notebook or something. I don't like the SWORD.
Yeah, so the symbol, and we didn't touch on this, but just very very quickly, the symbol for the sword organization pops up a couple times, and it's
They're all there.
yeah,
Hydra,
it's
Shield,
actually
because we hear the Shield officer.
yeah. So the sword symbol was actually on that helicopter that we saw.
Oh,
The-
true.
the
I didn't
sword-
think about that.
Which hero is Sword? Which heroes does Sword have? Do they have Crimson Dynamite?
No. So sword is
It's like-
basically
Like Shield
it-
or Hammer. They're like an organization.
exactly, but what they deal is with space. So
Yeah.
basically monitoring space, any kind of
What villains or heroes do they have?
Do you know Agent Brand, the green haired chick in the jumpsuit? It's basically her. They don't really have heroes. They just kind of
They don't
deal
have
with
no hero.
like problems. And they just brought back Sword as a comic book in the X-Men series,
Yeah, I
which-
saw it.
which would
Yeah,
make sense if they're gonna bring it back because now it's relevant again, I guess.
So they don't have a main villain or main superhero that represents sword like AIM or Hydra would or something like that.
No, not. I mean, not really a hero. Like Nick mentioned. The
Character.
basically the leader, the main character of Sword. If you wanna, like give one, would be Abigail Brand. She's the one with the like you mentioned that's known for her green hair. She's like
She's
the
a
Nick
mutant,
Fury.
right? I think.
Is she?
I think she's a mutant. I'm not sure what her power is, but I'm pretty sure she's a mutant because she's always tied. Because she worked with Alpha Flight for a while.
She did, yeah. But point is, she's basically the Nick Fury of this organization, and they handle any kind of threats in outer space.
Got
So they may tie into this somehow. We have no idea how, but that's one of the other Easter eggs that pops up a lot. So we'll see what happens with that.
Got a lot of good info out of this, man. Thank you guys.
She has
Yeah.
pyrokinesis.
Any other final thoughts?
I'm just excited for episode 3, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do.
I'm excited for American Gods. Y'all gotta watch that.
I think there's gonna be
10
9.
episodes, 10.
Yeah, 10, I think.
10?
I think 10.
Oh, 9. 9.
Something like that. But I'm excited for next week's episode, and we'll see where it goes, and can't wait to discuss and see what the community has to say about it from now until then. The more theories that come up,
The more things we
funner
have to talk about.
Yeah, and the funner.
I noticed people are real quiet about it. You know how people always are like, "Oh, I love it, I hate it, blood is trash." People are real quiet about it.
I hope she messes up reality and we get the Clone Saga in Spider-Man.
We are getting that in the comics
I know.
again.
I don't understand. We'll talk about that next week.
I thought that was an animation.
We'll talk about that soon. For now, I just want to say thanks everybody thank you guys for coming on here, and then thanks everybody else for tuning in. The reminder to follow us on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, like, and other than that, yeah, just have a fantastic day. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.